Well, anyway, this is Brian. He's one of my missionaries that I love dearly. How many children do you have?
5.
He's got 5 kids, and they all preach the gospel.
Amen.
5, all under the age of 7. 7.
Wow.
Preach the gospel, and they're witnesses for Jesus. He is the epitome of raising your children up in the ways of the Lord. Amen.
Amen.
They go to abortion clinics and just go to the streets and preach and witness. They're wonderful. I'm blessed to have them here.
Well, we're glad to be here. Like I said, it's every year. I was talking to her last night. She said you guys are like a shot in the arm. You know, I guess you go through the course of the year, a lot of things happen around here, and it's just like you need a boost. So when we come around, it's like it's a shot in the arm for her. But what some of you don't realize is when we come around, some of you are a shot in the arm for us too. You know, to be able to see where actually God has brought us from. See, a lot of you people today, you think, well, you don't know where I've been. You don't know my life story right now. All of us is, of course, you've heard her story. My story, I'm going to tell you here in just a little bit, but a lot of people say, well, you don't know where I've been. You don't know anything about me. If you only knew where I was coming from, or if you only knew what I was about, well, I probably do. If we compared police records, you'd probably be thinking, man, I'm lucky. So, I want to start out in Exodus chapter 3. I'm going to start in verse 2. But before I get into that, it's just a little bit about me. My name is Brian, and I started out just thinking, well, I'm just going to read the Bible a little bit, and I was just going to go out and tell people about Jesus and stuff. And I knew my life had to get a little bit better because it couldn't get much worse at the time. So I'd always heard about this man everybody calls Jesus. And so I thought, well, I'm pretty well at the bottom of the rope. I need to try this man named Jesus. And that may be where some of you are at in here today. Just want to try this man named Jesus because you think you don't have no other alternative. Well, I started out thinking that I was just going to go around and tell people about Jesus. And, the more I went out, the worse I became, the worse shape I got in. People who didn't hate God already, by the time I finished talking to them, they pretty well hated God. Because people, they can claim to go out and tell somebody about Jesus, but if you're not filled, you're not led by the Spirit, you're wasting your time, you're wasting their time. And so, I grew up in a home that was a broken home. I grew up with a mom and dad. We lived probably from here to the building across the street. That's how close that my mom and dad lived from the church. And we went to church there for all these years, but it was just get up and run across the street, make sure you show your face today at church. People think that we're good people. We live straight across the street from a church. Surely we should go to church. And so that's all we did. We just showed up and made our appearance. And, so we never really followed God. We claimed to. We always talked about Jesus and stuff in our home and stuff. But somebody could ask us what was Genesis 1:1, and we couldn't tell you that either. So we just in my home it was like I said, it was a broken home, and my dad he was a real abusive person when I was little. And, shortly after I graduated high school, after dealing with this through many, many years, I was in my room one night, and my mom and dad went out to eat, and I said, God, if you're real, I want you to reveal yourself to me. Because if you don't, I'm going to kill myself. Because I was just tired of living. Just tired of just being like everybody else. So they went out to eat one night. I was laying on my bedroom floor, and I kept calling out to God. I said, God, if you're real, show yourself to me. I want to see you. I want to see if you're really who you say you are. who all these people at these churches say that you are. If you're real God, show yourself to me. You know, and I've always heard, well, you hear this voice. You know, you hear this, you do that. See, as a lost person, I didn't know what to look for. I didn't know what to expect. And hours had went past, and hours had went past, and I thought, I don't hear you, God. So I took like 30 different heart medications, and I just laid out on the floor when my mom and dad came in, and my mom comes in there and she sees me laying on the floor, and she said, you need to get off the floor. But what had happened is I took so many medications that it just paralyzed me from head to toe. I mean, just nothing would function. You see these movies to where, you know, you get these shots and stuff and your whole body's paralyzed. I mean, you're sitting here wanting to talk to somebody, but you can't. That's the way I was. And so my dad, he came back there and he said, you need to get off the floor. And I couldn't, so he kind of kicked me in my side, and he knew it was dead weight to him. And so when he started to pick me up, all I could say is, I need to use the bathroom, because I had drunk so much water, I had to go to the bathroom. But for some reason, I couldn't say I can't get up or I need help or anything. I just said, I need to go to the bathroom. And my dad, he picked me up because he knew something was wrong. He carried me to the bathroom. And when I went to the bathroom, I didn't know it was just straight blood. And what it was is my kidneys was shutting down. Everything was shutting down because of all the medicines. And you know, once they saw that, it was a sign. They rushed me straight to the emergency room. They was pumping me full of crushed charcoal that you grill with and stuff with water. You know, some of you may have had that.
Mm-hmm.
Put the tube in your mouth, and I mean, if you don't drink it, they'll force it down your throat. That just absorbs the toxins in your body. And so I went through hours and hours and hours of that, laying in a hospital bed. I don't remember anything after that. So I wake up about, I don't know, 3.5, 4 days later, had a man standing in my room. His name was Reverend Carol Flack. Never met the man before. He was standing there, he pulled open the blinds in the hospital room. He said, I'm not here to make you feel good. I'm not here to cry with you. I'm not here to talk with you. So I'm just here to tell you that you're on your way to hell, and you deserve hell. But God's giving you another chance. And he walked out of the room. So from then on, I said, Lord, I guess you revealed yourself to me. So you better be careful what you ask for and how you ask to get it. Because I was just like, God, show me any old way. God's going to show you any old way, but it may not be the way that you're expecting. But he showed himself right then. He allowed me to be able to use the bathroom and have straight blood where people knew I needed help, because I surely couldn't tell them. He allowed me to have people come into that emergency room, and you know, during that course of that time, my heart stopped 26 times and I flatlined for 3 minutes. And today, I'm down here.
Amen.
As a shot in the arm, and for people to give me shots in the arm. You know, and so. But when I woke up in that hospital after all that stuff I went through that night, it brings me to here in Exodus chapter 3, because when I woke up that night after all that stuff had happened to me, the only thing I could do is make a choice from there on out. Was I going to go back to the same lifestyle, or was I going to try to kill myself again and succeed in doing it? Or was I going to change my path? And I spoke a little bit on this at a SOPA conference. Then in chapter 3, we see that it says, now Moses kept the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the backside of the desert and came to the mountain of God, even in Horeb. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. And these next couple words right here is very important. It says, and he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. We have a bush sitting here that's on fire, but the first thing he had to do was take a look at it. The very first thing. And that's what I want to ask some of you out here today. What are you looking for? What is your vision focused on? You know, if you look in the very next couple words right here. And Moses said, I will now turn aside. Here we are, Moses just walking through, just going through his everyday life. All of a sudden, just like I was sitting there crying out to God, saying, God, reveal yourself to me, show me something. Here Moses is going by and he sees this bush. And he's saying, I'm going to now turn aside. That's what we have to do in here. We have to make up our mind. Are you going to turn aside, or are you just going to keep walking on that path? When you see these things, just like you're here. You're here in this house. You're here for a reason. Are you going to stop? Are you just going to keep going down your everyday life? Are you going to stop? Are you going to turn aside to see something? Last night we had was out there preaching, and for some reason there was just a heaviness last night, and it was just hard to preach. Some of these guys out here, Grant, Jeremy, everybody here, they preached really hard. And every time they gave me the megaphone, all I could do was just sort of walk around, and I would pick certain people to preach to. But I never did want to preach to the whole entire crowd. There was just certain people, it was like God wanted me to look for. One of the very first people, when all these guys were preaching, I kept noticing was, what was his name? The guy that was from here.
He had blonde hair, kind of skinny, soft-spoken, worked in the kitchen.
Kevin.
Yeah. Everywhere I looked, I saw Kevin standing around behind stuff. So, as these guys kept preaching, I was thinking, Lord, He's listening.
Amen.
The last thing I wanted to do is, the way these guys was preaching, is to step in and put my 2 cents in on anything. Because He was listening. He was listening to these guys. I don't know his situation right now. God does. But he was walking through that crowd, but he did turn aside last night. What he chooses to do with it's up to him, but he was stopping behind every little planter, every little machine, every little door he could find, and stopping to listen to the preaching last night. And later on through the night, I stopped and talked to him. And I said, man, I just remember the conversations that me and you had at Jan's place. And I said, man, it really bothers me to see you out here tonight. I said, because he had his brown bag with him and his liquor and stuff with him. And I said, man, all those times we sit down at the table and we talk, and I said, here you are now. I said, what are you doing, man? He said, oh, she won't let me back in. I've tried to go back. And I was like, oh, so this is the best you can do then. And you wonder why people won't let you back in. You can keep going down that path like Moses right here. You can keep going down that path, or you can turn aside. You can choose to get off.
Amen.
Last night I felt sorry for him, but in a way I didn't feel sorry for him, because I knew everything he was saying about this house was a lie. As far as him coming and saying, well, these people don't want me there, they don't love me, they don't this. And I was like, man, if anybody ever loved you, it was those people who tried to help you. He had this one guy who was standing there yelling and complaining with him and telling him to drink more and drink more. And I was like, you can choose to put this stuff down and get your life right with God right now and quit goofing off with God. You can be a loser like this guy right here. It's time we gotta, when we see this stuff, we gotta start confronting it.
Amen. Yeah.
Here he is out there, and there was so many times last night that when I was speaking with him, you could tell he was really sincere. But you could tell, he was definitely on something, because he would try